I can tell you have insulin resistance just by looking at you. And I don't mean that in a judgmental way. I mean there are actual physical signs. If your body is screaming at you right now that your cells aren't responding to insulin the way they should. You've probably noticed them yourself, but didn't know what they meant. Hey everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Stevens, a nutritionist who helps people balance their blood sugar, improve their metabolic health, and understand their bodies on a deeper level. And if you watched my last video on why you're always tired even after sleeping 8 hours, you know I don't sugarcoat things. I tell you exactly what's happening in your body and exactly what you need to do about it. Today we're diving deep into insulin resistance because this condition is affecting millions of people who have no idea they have it. And here's the thing that frustrates me most. Your doctor probably won't tell you that you have insulin resistance until it's become full-blown type 2 diabetes. By then, you've already spent years, maybe even a decade, with your body struggling. And that's just not right. So let me paint a picture for you. You look in the mirror and you notice your belly is getting bigger even though you're not eating that much more than you used to. You've got this stubborn fat around your midsection that won't budge no matter how many crunches you do. Maybe you're seeing dark patches of skin around your neck, under your arms, or in your groin area. That's called acanthosis nigricans, and it's one of the most telltale signs of insulin resistance. Your skin literally cannot hide what's happening on the inside. You might also notice skin tags popping up in random places. Little flesh-colored bumps that seem to appear out of nowhere. These aren't just cosmetic annoyances. They're your body waving a giant red flag. But the physical signs go way beyond what you can see. You're exhausted all the time, especially after meals. You eat lunch, and within 30 minutes, you need a nap. You're craving carbs and sugar constantly, like your brain is hijacked by this insatiable need for something sweet or starchy. You get shaky and irritable if you go too long without eating. Your brain feels foggy. You can't concentrate the way you used to. You're gaining weight easily, but losing it feels impossible. Your blood pressure is creeping up. You're getting more frequent yeast infections or urinary tract infections. Your periods are irregular if you're a woman. You might even be dealing with infertility issues. All of these things are connected, and they all point back to one central problem. Your cells are resisting insulin. Now here's what most people don't understand about insulin resistance. And this is the biggest misconception I see out there. People think insulin resistance is about sugar. They think if they just cut out sugar, problem solved. But that's not how this works. Insulin resistance isn't really about sugar at all. It's about your cells. Let me explain this in a way that actually makes sense. Insulin is a hormone. Your pancreas makes it. Every time you eat something that raises your blood sugar, your pancreas releases insulin into your bloodstream. Insulin's job is to knock on the door of your cells and say, "Hey, I've got some glucose out here. Open up and let it in." Your cells need glucose. It's fuel. It's energy. So normally, insulin knocks. The cell opens the door, glucose goes inside, and your blood sugar comes back down to normal. That's how it's supposed to work. But when you have insulin resistance, your cells stop listening to insulin. Insulin knocks on the door, and the cell is like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to open." So insulin knocks harder and harder. And your pancreas has to pump out more and more insulin to try to force those cell doors open. Eventually, your pancreas is working overtime, flooding your body with insulin. Your cells are still barely responding. This creates a vicious cycle. High insulin levels in your blood tell your body to store fat, especially around your belly. High insulin also prevents your body from burning fat for energy. So you're stuck in this trap where you can't lose weight no matter what you do because your insulin levels are constantly elevated. Meanwhile, your blood sugar is bouncing all over the place. It spikes high after you eat, then crashes low a few hours later, which makes you crave more carbs and sugar, which spikes your blood sugar again, which demands more insulin, which your cells resist even more. Around and around you go. And here's the kicker. This can go on for years before your blood sugar gets high enough for a doctor to diagnose you with prediabetes or diabetes. The standard fasting glucose test that most doctors use. It's not sensitive enough to catch insulin resistance early. You can have perfectly normal fasting glucose, and still be severely insulin resistant. That's why so many people are walking around with this condition and have no idea. Their doctor tells them their blood sugar is fine, so they think everything is okay. But underneath the surface, their body is struggling. So why does this happen? Why do your cells start resisting insulin in the first place? This is where we need to talk about the real culprits. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not just about what you eat. It's about how you live. Insulin resistance develops over time as a result of multiple factors working together to break down your metabolic health. The first factor is chronic elevated insulin levels. When you eat frequently throughout the day, especially carbohydrates and refined foods, your insulin is constantly elevated. Your cells are constantly being bombarded with insulin. Think of it like this. If someone knocks on your door once in a while, you're happy to answer. But if someone stands outside your door knocking constantly all day, every day, you're going to start ignoring them. That's what your cells do with insulin. They downregulate their insulin receptors. They become numb to the signal. This happens when you're eating all day long. Breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. Your insulin never gets a chance to come down. Your cells never get a break from the constant signaling. Over time, they adapt by becoming less responsive. The second factor is inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation in your body interferes with insulin signaling at the cellular level. And what causes inflammation? Processed foods loaded with industrial seed oils, excess omega-6 fatty acids, refined carbohydrates, sugar, artificial ingredients, and chemicals your body doesn't recognize. But it's not just food. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which drives inflammation. Poor sleep drives inflammation. Environmental toxins drive inflammation. A sedentary lifestyle drives inflammation. When your body is in a constant state of inflammation, your cells can't respond to insulin properly. The inflammatory molecules literally block the insulin receptors on your cell membranes. It's like putting a piece of tape over the lock on your door. The key doesn't work anymore. The third factor is mitochondrial dysfunction. Your mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells. They take the glucose that gets into your cells and convert it into usable energy, called ATP. But when your mitochondria are damaged or not functioning efficiently, your cells don't want more glucose coming in because they can't process what they already have. It's like trying to pour more water into a cup that's already full. Your mitochondria get damaged by oxidative stress, which comes from eating too much, eating too often, exposure to toxins, lack of nutrients that protect your mitochondria, and chronic inflammation. When your mitochondria are struggling, your cells resist insulin as a protective mechanism. They're basically saying, we can't handle any more fuel right now. Stop sending it to us. The fourth factor is excess visceral fat. This is the fat that accumulates around your organs, particularly in your belly. Visceral fat is not just storage. It's metabolically active tissue that pumps out inflammatory molecules and hormones that directly interfere with insulin signaling. The more visceral fat you have, the more insulin resistant you become. And the more insulin resistant you become, the more visceral fat you store. See the vicious cycle here? It feeds on itself. This is why belly fat is so stubborn. It's not just about calories in, calories out. It's about hormones, specifically insulin. You cannot lose visceral fat if your insulin levels stay elevated. It's physiologically impossible. Your body won't release that fat for energy when insulin is high because insulin is a storage hormone. The fifth factor is nutrient deficiencies. Your body needs certain nutrients to maintain healthy insulin signaling. When you're deficient in these nutrients, your cells cannot respond to insulin properly, no matter what else you do. We're talking about magnesium, chromium, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, and B vitamins, especially B1 and B12. Most people eating a standard modern diet are deficient in at least some of these. Magnesium alone is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, including glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Over half the population is deficient in magnesium. That's a massive problem that nobody talks about. Now let's talk about what happens when insulin resistance goes unchecked. Because this isn't just about feeling tired and gaining belly fat. Insulin resistance is the root cause of metabolic syndrome, which is a cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, high blood sugar, and excess belly fat. When you have 3 or more of these, you're diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome dramatically increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, kidney disease, Alzheimer's disease, certain cancers, polycystic ovary syndrome, infertility, and more. This is not a minor issue. This is a major threat to your health and longevity. And here's what really gets me fired up. This is largely preventable and reversible. Insulin resistance is not a life sentence. Your cells can become sensitive to insulin again. But you have to address the root causes. You can't just take a pill and expect everything to magically get better. Your doctor might prescribe metformin, which can help, but medication alone won't fix the underlying problem. You have to change the environment your cells are living in. You have to remove the factors that are causing resistance and add in the factors that promote sensitivity. So let's get into the action plan. I'm going to give you exactly what you need to do to reverse insulin resistance and restore your metabolic health. This is not a quick fix. This takes commitment. But I promise you, if you follow these steps, you will see dramatic improvements in how you look and how you feel. Your energy will come back. Your brain fog will lift. Your cravings will disappear. Your belly fat will start melting away. Your blood work will improve. This works. I've seen it work for thousands of people. Now it's your turn. Step 1 is to reduce your eating window. I need you to stop eating all day long. Your insulin needs time to come down. Your cells need a break from constant insulin signaling. This is where intermittent fasting comes in, and I know some of you just cringed when I said that word. You've been told breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You've been told you need to eat every few hours to keep your metabolism going. That's all wrong. That advice was literally created to sell you more food. Your body is designed to go periods without eating. That's when healing happens. That's when your insulin comes down. That's when your cells become sensitive again. Start with a 12-hour eating window. If you finish dinner at 7 p.m., don't eat again until 7 a.m. That gives your body 12 hours of fasting. Once that feels comfortable, move to a 10-hour window, then 8 hours. Most people do really well with a 16-8 schedule, which means you fast for 16 hours and eat all your meals within an 8-hour window. For example, you might eat your first meal at noon and your last meal at 8 p.m. Outside of that window, you're drinking water, black coffee, or plain tea, no calories. This allows your insulin to drop to baseline levels. It gives your cells a chance to upregulate their insulin receptors again. It promotes autophagy, which is your body's cellular cleanup process. It improves mitochondrial function. It reduces inflammation. It allows your body to tap into fat stores for energy. Now, I need to be clear about something. If you have a history of eating disorders, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, if you're a child or teenager, if you're underweight, or if you have certain medical conditions, fasting might not be appropriate for you. Talk to your doctor. But for most people dealing with insulin resistance, reducing your eating window is one of the most powerful tools you have. Step 2 is to prioritize protein at every meal. Protein is your best friend when you're trying to reverse insulin resistance. It keeps you full. It stabilizes your blood sugar. It preserves muscle mass. It has a minimal effect on insulin compared to carbohydrates. And here's the thing most people don't realize. You need way more protein than you think you do. The current recommendations are way too low. You should be aiming for at least 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your ideal body weight. If your ideal weight is 150 pounds, you need a minimum of 105 to 150 grams of protein per day. That might sound like a lot if you're used to eating a bagel for breakfast and a salad for lunch. But trust me, when you start prioritizing protein, everything changes. Protein helps you feel satisfied so you're not constantly snacking. It supports your muscle tissue, which is crucial because muscle is the primary site of glucose disposal in your body. The more muscle you have, the better your insulin sensitivity. Protein also has a high thermic effect, meaning your body burns more calories digesting protein than it does digesting carbs or fat. And protein stimulates the release of hormones that help regulate your appetite and blood sugar. I want you eating protein first at every meal. Eggs, meat, fish, poultry, seafood, Greek yogurt if you tolerate dairy, cottage cheese, protein shakes if you need them. Make protein the star of your plate, not the side dish. Step 3 is to cut out processed foods and seed oils completely. This is non-negotiable. If it comes in a package with a long list of ingredients you can't pronounce, don't eat it. Processed foods are designed to be hyperpalatable. They're engineered to make you crave more. They're loaded with refined carbohydrates, sugar, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, and inflammatory seed oils like soybean oil, corn oil, canola oil, cottonseed oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, and vegetable oil. These oils are in everything. Salad dressings, sauces, baked goods, snack foods, fried foods, restaurant meals. They're cheap, which is why food manufacturers use them. But they're wreaking havoc on your body. Seed oils are extremely high in omega-6 fatty acids. When consumed in excess, omega-6 promotes inflammation. And remember, inflammation blocks insulin receptors. These oils are also highly unstable. They oxidize easily when exposed to heat, light, and air, creating harmful compounds that damage your cells and mitochondria. Your body doesn't know how to process these industrial oils. They've only been in our food supply for about 100 years. Your great-great-grandparents never ate this stuff. And guess what? They didn't have the rates of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and metabolic dysfunction that we see today. I want you cooking with real fats. Butter, ghee, tallow, lard, coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil for low-heat cooking. These are fats your body recognizes and can use efficiently. Step 4 is to eat real whole foods that come from nature. Your body knows how to process an egg. It knows how to process a piece of salmon. It knows how to process broccoli and sweet potatoes and berries. It doesn't know what to do with a Pop-Tart or a bag of Doritos or a McDonald's cheeseburger loaded with seed oils and preservatives. The closer your food is to its natural state, the better your body can handle it. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds. Avoid the middle aisles where all the processed junk lives. And yes, I know this is more expensive. I know it takes more time. I know it's less convenient. But what's the alternative? Staying insulin resistant and watching your health deteriorate, that's going to cost you way more in the long run, both financially and physically. Step 5 is to manage your carbohydrate intake strategically. Notice I didn't say eliminate carbs completely. I said manage them strategically. Carbohydrates are not evil, but the type of carbs you eat, the amount you eat, and when you eat them matters tremendously when you're dealing with insulin resistance. Refined carbohydrates like white bread, pasta, rice, crackers, chips, and anything made with white flour spike your blood sugar rapidly. This triggers a big insulin response. Over time, this contributes to insulin resistance. But whole food sources of carbohydrates like sweet potatoes, squash, root vegetables, oats, quinoa, legumes, and fruit have fiber, vitamins, and minerals that slow down digestion and provide steady energy. Here's my recommendation. If you're severely insulin resistant, start with a lower carb approach. Keep your net carbs under 50 to 75 grams per day for the first few weeks. This will help bring your insulin levels down and give your cells a chance to reset. Focus on getting your carbs from non-starchy vegetables and a small amount of berries. Once your insulin sensitivity starts improving, you can slowly add back in more carbs from whole food sources. But here's the key. Eat your carbs in the context of a complete meal that includes protein and healthy fat. Never eat carbs by themselves. If you eat an apple, eat it with some almond butter. If you eat a sweet potato, eat it alongside steak and vegetables. The protein and fat slow down the digestion of the carbohydrates, which prevents a big blood sugar spike. Also consider eating your carbs later in the day. Some research suggests that your insulin sensitivity is better earlier in the day, which means you can handle carbs better at breakfast and lunch. But other research shows that eating carbs at dinner can improve sleep quality because carbs help with serotonin and melatonin production. Test it out and see what works for your body. The most important thing is that you're eating whole food carbs in appropriate portions within the context of balanced meals. And please, stop drinking your carbs. Juice, soda, energy drinks, sweetened coffee drinks, smoothies with tons of fruit and no protein or fat. These are blood sugar bombs. They provide a massive amount of sugar with no fiber to slow it down. Your blood sugar skyrockets, your insulin skyrockets, and you're setting yourself up for a crash and more cravings an hour later. Step 6 is to move your body every single day. Exercise is one of the most powerful tools for improving insulin sensitivity. When your muscles contract during exercise, they pull glucose out of your bloodstream, independent of insulin. This is huge. It means you can lower your blood sugar and reduce your insulin load through movement. But it gets even better. Exercise increases the number of insulin receptors on your muscle cells. It improves mitochondrial function. It reduces inflammation. It helps you burn visceral fat. It improves your mood and energy levels. It reduces stress. There is literally no downside. Now, you don't need to go crazy here. You don't need to run marathons or do CrossFit 6 days a week unless you want to. What you need is consistent movement throughout the day. Start with walking. Walk after every meal. Even just 10 to 15 minutes makes a difference. Walking after you eat helps. Shuttle glucose into your muscles instead of letting it sit in your bloodstream, demanding more insulin. It's simple, it's free, and it works. Beyond walking, I want you doing some form of resistance training at least 2 to 3 times per week. Lift weights, do bodyweight exercises, use resistance bands, whatever you have access to. Building muscle is critical for reversing insulin resistance because muscle tissue is where most of your glucose gets stored and used. The more muscle you have, the better your metabolic health, period. If you want to add in some higher intensity exercise like sprinting, cycling, or HIIT workouts, that's great too. High intensity exercise depletes your muscle glycogen stores, which means your muscles are primed to absorb glucose the next time you eat. But don't jump into intense exercise if you're just starting out. Build up gradually. Consistency is more important than intensity. Move your body every day in some way. That's the goal. Step 7 is to prioritize sleep and manage stress. I cannot overstate how important this is. Poor sleep and chronic stress are massive drivers of insulin resistance. And most people completely ignore them because they're focused on diet and exercise. But here's the reality. If you're not sleeping well, your body cranks up cortisol and other stress hormones. These hormones directly increase blood sugar and insulin resistance. Just one night of poor sleep can make your cells significantly less sensitive to insulin. Chronic sleep deprivation has been shown to increase the risk of type 2 diabetes dramatically. Your body needs sleep to repair, recover, and regulate hormones. You should be aiming for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Asterisk, create a sleep routine. Go to bed at the same time every night. Make your room dark, cool, and quiet. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed because the blue light messes with your melatonin production. Don't eat a huge meal right before bed because digestion interferes with sleep quality. Consider taking magnesium before bed, which helps with relaxation and sleep. Do whatever you need to do to make sleep a priority and stress management. You have to find ways to lower your stress levels. Chronic stress keeps your cortisol elevated, which keeps your blood sugar elevated, which keeps your insulin elevated. Cortisol also promotes belly fat storage. So even if you're doing everything else right, chronic stress will sabotage your progress. Find what works for you. Meditation, deep breathing, yoga, spending time in nature, journaling, talking to a friend, therapy. You need tools to help your nervous system calm down. Your body cannot heal when it's in constant fight-flight mode. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to say no to things that drain you. Give yourself permission to prioritize your well-being. Now, let's talk about some specific nutrients and supplements that can support your journey to reverse insulin resistance. I want to be clear that supplements are not a substitute for the foundational steps we just talked about. You can't out-supplement a bad diet and lifestyle. But once you have the basics in place, certain nutrients can give you an extra boost and help accelerate your progress. Magnesium is at the top of the list. As I mentioned earlier, magnesium is involved in glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Studies show that people who are deficient in magnesium have a significantly higher risk of insulin resistance in type 2 diabetes. And most people are deficient because our soil is depleted, so our food doesn't contain as much magnesium as it used to, and because stress depletes magnesium. I recommend supplementing with magnesium glycinate, which is the most bioavailable form and the least likely to cause digestive upset. Start with 300 to 400 milligrams per day and see how you feel. You can take it before bed because it also helps with sleep. Chromium is another one. Chromium is a trace mineral that enhances insulin signaling. It helps insulin bind to receptors on your cells more effectively. Studies show that chromium supplementation can improve blood sugar control and insulin sensitivity, especially in people with type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance. You don't need a huge dose. 200 to 400 micrograms per day is sufficient. Chromium picolinate is the form that's been most studied. Berberine is a compound found in certain plants, and it's been shown to be as effective as metformin for lowering blood sugar and improving insulin sensitivity. Berberine works by activating an enzyme called AMPK, which is like your body's metabolic master switch. When MPK is activated, it tells your cells to take in more glucose, burn more fat, and improve mitochondrial function. It also reduces glucose production in your liver and improves your gut bacteria composition. Berberine is powerful stuff. The typical dose is 500 milligrams, taken 2 to 3 times per day with meals. Some people experience digestive upset when they first start taking berberine. So start with a lower dose and work your way up. Alpha-lipoic acid is an antioxidant that helps protect your cells from oxidative stress and improves insulin sensitivity. It helps your cells use glucose more efficiently and may reduce nerve damage associated with high blood sugar. The typical dose is 300 to 600 milligrams per day. Vitamin D is crucial for insulin sensitivity. Vitamin D receptors are found on your pancreatic beta cells, which are the cells that produce insulin. Low vitamin D levels are associated with increased insulin resistance and higher risk of type 2 diabetes. Most people are deficient in vitamin D, especially if you live in a northern climate or don't spend much time in the sun. Get your vitamin D levels tested. You want your levels to be between 50 and 80 nanograms per milliliter. If you're low, supplement with vitamin D3. The dose varies depending on how deficient you are. But many people need 2,000 to 5,000 IU per day. Take it with a meal that contains fat because vitamin D is fat-soluble. * omega-3 fatty acids. Specifically, EPA and DHA found in fish oil reduce inflammation and improve insulin sensitivity. The typical dose is 1 to 2 grams of combined EPA and DHA per day. Make sure you're getting a high-quality fish oil. It's been tested for purity and doesn't contain heavy metals or other contaminants. Now here's something most people don't know. Your gut health plays a massive role in insulin sensitivity. Your gut bacteria influence inflammation, nutrient absorption, hormone production, and even how your body responds to insulin. When your gut is out of balance, with too many harmful bacteria and not enough beneficial bacteria, it promotes inflammation and insulin resistance. This is called gut dysbiosis. You need to support your gut microbiome by eating fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, and yogurt. These foods contain probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria. You also need to feed your good bacteria with prebiotic fiber found in foods like asparagus, garlic, onions, leeks, and Jerusalem artichokes. And please, stop eating foods that damage your gut. Sugar, artificial sweeteners, processed foods, and antibiotics all disrupt your gut bacteria balance. If you've taken a lot of antibiotics in your life, if you deal with digestive issues, if you have food sensitivities, if you struggle with chronic inflammation, there's a good chance your gut needs some serious support. Consider working with a functional medicine practitioner who can help you address gut issues. You might need to do a comprehensive stool test to see what's going on in there. You might need a specific protocol to address infections, overgrowths, or imbalances. Healing your gut can have a profound impact on your insulin sensitivity and overall health. Let's also talk about the role of liver health and insulin resistance. Your liver is a metabolic powerhouse. It stores glucose as glycogen, releases glucose when your blood sugar is low, produces cholesterol and triglycerides, metabolizes hormones, filters toxins, and so much more. When your liver becomes overloaded with fat, which happens when you have chronically elevated insulin levels, it develops a condition called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. This is incredibly common in people with insulin resistance. In fact, it's estimated that 70% of people with type 2 diabetes have fatty liver disease. And here's the problem. A fatty liver makes insulin resistance worse. Your liver becomes resistant to insulin, which means it keeps pumping out glucose even when your blood sugar is already high. This creates a vicious cycle where high insulin causes fatty liver. Fatty liver worsens insulin resistance. The good news is that fatty liver is reversible with the same strategies we've been talking about. When you lower your insulin levels through intermittent fasting, when you cut out sugar and processed carbs, when you reduce inflammation, your liver starts to heal. It releases the stored fat. It becomes more sensitive to insulin again. This is one of the reasons why people see such dramatic improvements when they commit to these lifestyle changes. Their liver health improves, which improves their insulin sensitivity, which improves their blood sugar control, which reduces their insulin levels, which allows them to burn fat, which further improves their liver health. It's a positive feedback loop going in the right direction. Another thing I want to address is the role of stress, eating, and emotional eating in insulin resistance. A lot of people use food to cope with stress, boredom, anxiety, sadness, or loneliness. And I get it. Food provides temporary comfort. It's soothing. It's a distraction. But when you're constantly eating for emotional reasons rather than physical hunger, you're keeping your insulin elevated all the time. You're never giving your body a chance to rest and reset. And you're probably reaching for the exact foods that spike your blood sugar the most. Cookies, chips, ice cream, candy, bread. These are the comfort foods that make insulin resistance worse. If this is you, I need you to start paying attention to why you're eating. Before you reach for food, pause and ask yourself, am I actually hungry? Or am I stressed? Or bored? Or sad? If you're not hungry, food is not the solution. You need to find other ways to meet those emotional needs. Call a friend. Go for a walk. Journal. Listen to music. Do something that actually addresses the underlying feeling instead of just numbing it with food. This is hard work. It requires self-awareness and intentionality. But it's necessary if you want to break the cycle. You might also need to examine your relationship with food on a deeper level. Did you grow up in a house where food was used as a reward or punishment? Were you told to clean your plate even when you were full? Were sweets used to celebrate or comfort? These early experiences shape how we relate to food as adults. And sometimes we need to unlearn unhealthy patterns and create new ones. This might be something you work through with a therapist or counselor. There's no shame in getting support. Your emotional health is just as important as your physical health. Now, let's talk about what to expect as you start implementing these changes. The first few days might be rough. If you're used to eating constantly and consuming a lot of sugar and refined carbs, you're probably going to experience some withdrawal symptoms when you cut those things out. You might feel tired, irritable, hungry, or get headaches. This is normal. Your body is adjusting. It's shifting from being a sugar burner to being a fat burner. This transition period usually lasts 3 to 7 days. Push through it. I promise it gets better. After the first week, you'll start to notice improvements. Your energy will stabilize. You won't have those dramatic blood sugar swings anymore. Your cravings will diminish. You might lose a few pounds of water weight as your insulin levels drop and your body releases stored glycogen. Don't get too excited about this initial weight loss because it's mostly water, not fat. But it's a sign that things are moving in the right direction. By week 2 or 3, you'll really start to feel different. Your brain fog will clear. You'll have more mental clarity and focus. Your energy levels will be higher and more consistent throughout the day. You'll sleep better. Your digestion might improve. You'll start seeing changes in your body composition. Your clothes will fit better. Your face might look less puffy. These are all signs that inflammation is coming down and your insulin sensitivity is improving. By week 4 to 6, the changes become more obvious. Your belly fat will start shrinking. Your skin might look better. Those dark patches might start to lighten. Your blood pressure might come down. If you get your blood work done at this point, you'll likely see improvements in your triglycerides, HDL, cholesterol, and fasting glucose. Your doctor might be shocked at how much your numbers improved in such a short time. But here's the thing. This is not a quick fix. You can't do this for a month and then go back to your old habits and expect to maintain your results. Insulin resistance developed over years. It's going to take consistent effort over months to fully reverse it. And even then, you have to maintain the healthy habits you've built. This is a lifestyle, not a diet. I know that's not what you want to hear. Everyone wants the magic pill or the quick solution, but that doesn't exist. The only way to truly reverse insulin resistance and maintain your metabolic health is to commit to these changes for the long haul. That doesn't mean you can never enjoy a piece of birthday cake or have pizza with friends. It means that most of the time, the majority of your choices are supporting your health rather than sabotaging it. It means you're not using food as your primary source of comfort or entertainment. It means you're taking responsibility for your body and giving it what it needs to function optimal. And look, I know this is hard. I know it feels overwhelming. I know you're busy and stressed and you have a million things on your plate. But I also know that if you don't address this now, it's only going to get worse. Insulin resistance doesn't just go away on its own. It progresses. It turns into prediabetes, then type 2 diabetes. Then you're dealing with complications like neuropathy, retinopathy, kidney disease, heart disease. You're taking multiple medications. Your quality of life declines. And here's the brutal truth. This is preventable. You have the power to change your trajectory right now, today, with the very next choice you make. So let me give you some practical tips to make this easier. Start with one change at a time. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Pick the one thing from this list that feels most doable for you and focus on that for a week. Maybe it's cutting out seed oils. Maybe it's starting to walk after meals. Maybe it's implementing a 12-hour eating window. Whatever it is, master that one thing before you add in the next thing. Small changes compound over time. Prepare your environment for success. Get rid of the junk food in your house. If it's not there, you can't eat it. Stock your fridge and pantry with healthy options, so when you're hungry, the easy choice is also the healthy choice. Prep some meals in advance so you're not scrambling at the last minute and ending up at a drive-thru. Keep hard-boiled eggs, pre-cut vegetables, cooked meat, and healthy snacks readily available. Find an accountability partner. Tell someone what you're doing and ask them to check in with you. Join an online community of people who are on the same journey. Having support makes a huge difference. You're not in this alone. Track your progress. Take photos. Take measurements. Notice how you feel. Write it down. Sometimes the scale doesn't move as fast as you'd like, but you'll see changes in other areas. Your clothes fit better. You have more energy. Your skin looks better. These non-scale victories are just as important as the number on the scale. Celebrate them. Be patient with yourself. You're going to have days where you mess up. You're going to have days where you eat the whole pizza or skip your workout or stay up too late. That's okay. You're human. One bad day doesn't undo all your progress. Just get back on track the next day. Don't let one mistake turn into a week-long binge. Don't use it as an excuse to give up. Learn from it and move forward. And please, be kind to yourself. You're making a huge effort to improve your health. That deserves recognition and compassion, not harsh self-criticism. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a good friend, with encouragement, understanding, support. Let me also address some common questions and concerns that come up when people start working on reversing insulin resistance. One of the biggest is, how long is this going to take? And the honest answer is, it depends. It depends on how insulin resistant you are to begin with. It depends on how consistently you implement these strategies. It depends on other factors like your age, genetics, stress levels, sleep quality, and any underlying health conditions. Some people see significant improvements within a few weeks. Others take several months. The average timeline for substantial reversal of insulin resistance is about 3 to 6 months of consistent effort. But remember, this is not a race. This is about creating sustainable change that lasts. Another common question is, can I reverse insulin resistance if I have PCOS? Yes, absolutely. Polycystic ovary syndrome is a hormonal disorder that is strongly linked to insulin resistance. In fact, insulin resistance is considered one of the root causes of PCOS. When you improve your insulin sensitivity, you often see improvements in PCOS symptoms like irregular periods, excess hair growth, acne, and difficulty losing weight. Many women with PCOS have successfully reversed their insulin resistance and improved their symptoms. And some have even been able to conceive after struggling with infertility. The strategies are the same: intermittent fasting, low glycemic eating, exercise, stress management, sleep, and targeted supplementation. What about if you're already taking medication for diabetes or prediabetes? Can you still reverse insulin resistance? Yes, but you need to work closely with your doctor. As your insulin sensitivity improves, your medication needs may change. Your blood sugar could drop too low if you're still taking the same dose of medication while eating in a way that lowers your blood sugar. This is a good problem to have, but it needs to be managed carefully. Your doctor can help you adjust your medications as needed. Some people are able to come off their medications entirely once their insulin resistance is reversed. Others may still need some medication, but at a much lower dose. Either way, improving your lifestyle will make your medications work better and may reduce the side effects. What if you have a family history of diabetes? Does that mean you're doomed to develop it? No. Genetics load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. Yes, having a family history increases your risk, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll develop diabetes. In fact, studies show that lifestyle interventions are more effective than medication at preventing type 2 diabetes in people who are at high risk. You have more control over your health than you think. Don't use your family history as an excuse to give up. Use it as motivation to take your health seriously. Can you reverse insulin resistance if you're older? Absolutely. It's never too late to improve your health. Your cells can become more sensitive to insulin at any age. In fact, older adults often see dramatic improvements because they're highly motivated and committed. Age is not a barrier. It's just another reason to start now, rather than waiting. What about alcohol? Can you drink alcohol while reversing insulin resistance? This is tricky. Alcohol affects blood sugar and insulin in complex ways. It can cause your blood sugar to drop initially, which might seem like a good thing, but then your liver compensates by releasing more glucose, which can lead to rebound high blood sugar. Alcohol also impairs your liver's ability to regulate blood sugar and can worsen fatty liver disease. And let's be honest, alcohol lowers your inhibitions, which often leads to poor food choices. You have a couple of drinks and suddenly you're eating nachos and pizza at midnight. If you're serious about reversing insulin resistance, I'd recommend minimizing or eliminating alcohol, at least in the beginning. Once your insulin sensitivity has improved and you've established healthy habits, you might be able to enjoy an occasional drink without derailing your progress. But make it the exception, not the rule. And if you do drink, choose lower sugar options like dry wine or spirits with soda water, and always have food in your system. What about fruit? A lot of people get confused about fruit because it contains sugar. Here's the deal. Fruit is a whole food that contains fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. The fiber in fruit slows down the absorption of the sugar, so it doesn't spike your blood sugar the way refined sugar does. That said, some fruits are higher in sugar than others. Berries are your best bet. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. They're lower in sugar and higher in fiber and antioxidants. Other good options include green apples, citrus fruits, and stone fruits like peaches and plums. Tropical fruits like bananas, pineapple, mango, and grapes are higher in sugar, so you might want to limit those, especially in the beginning. And dried fruit is basically candy. It's concentrated sugar with no water content to fill you up. Avoid it. The key with fruit is portion control and context. Have a serving of berries with your breakfast that also includes eggs and avocado. Have an apple with almond butter as a snack? Don't sit down and eat an entire watermelon by yourself. Use common sense. Can you eat dairy if you're trying to reverse insulin resistance? It depends. Dairy affects people differently. Some people do great with dairy. Others find that it spikes their insulin even though it doesn't raise their blood sugar much. This is because dairy, particularly milk, stimulates insulin release through mechanisms beyond just the sugar content. Full-fat dairy is generally better than low-fat dairy because the fat slows digestion and blunts the insulin response. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, butter, and heavy cream can all be part of a healthy diet if you tolerate them well. But if you notice that dairy stalls your weight loss or makes you feel bloated or inflamed, consider cutting it out for a few weeks and see if that makes a difference. You can always reintroduce it later and see how you feel. What about artificial sweeteners? Can you use them to satisfy your sweet tooth without spiking your blood sugar? This is controversial. Technically, most artificial sweeteners don't raise blood sugar or insulin, but there's emerging research suggesting that they might still negatively impact your metabolism by altering your gut bacteria, increasing cravings for sweet foods, and possibly affecting insulin sensitivity through other pathways. My take is this. If you're currently drinking regular soda and you switch to diet soda, that's probably a step in the right direction. But the ultimate goal should be to retrain your palate so you're not craving intensely sweet things all the time. Use artificial sweeteners as a bridge if you need to, but don't rely on them long term. Better options are stevia, monk fruit, or aluzo, which are more natural and have fewer potential downsides. But again, the goal is to reduce your overall desire for sweetness, not just find alternative ways to feed it. Now let's talk about some advanced strategies that can take your results to the next level once you've mastered the basics. One of these is Zone 2 cardio training. Zone 2 is a level of exercise intensity where you're working at about 60 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. You should be able to hold a conversation, but you're slightly out of breath. At this intensity, your body is primarily burning fat for fuel, and you're training your mitochondria to become more efficient. Zone 2 training has been shown to significantly improve insulin sensitivity and metabolic flexibility. Aim for 2 to 4 sessions per week of 30 to 60 minutes. This could be brisk walking, cycling, swimming, or using an elliptical. The key is maintaining that steady, moderate intensity for an extended period. Another advanced strategy is incorporating cold exposure. Cold showers, ice baths, or even just turning down the heat in your house can activate brown adipose tissue, which is a type of fat that burns calories to generate heat. Cold exposure has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, increase metabolic rate, and reduce inflammation. Start small. End your shower with 30 seconds of cold water. Gradually work up to longer durations. Or try a cold plunge if you have access to one. This isn't necessary for everyone, but if you're looking to optimize, it's worth exploring. Heat exposure through sauna use is another tool. Regular sauna sessions have been shown to improve insulin sensitivity, cardiovascular health, and longevity. The heat stress triggers beneficial adaptations in your body, similar to exercise. Aim for 15 to 20 minutes in a sauna, 2 to 3 times per week. Make sure you're well hydrated and listen to your body. If you have any cardiovascular conditions, check with your doctor first. High-intensity interval training, or HIIT, is another powerful tool once you've built a base level of fitness. HIIT involves short bursts of very intense exercise followed by periods of rest or lower intensity. This type of training depletes muscle glycogen rapidly, which makes your muscles more receptive to taking in glucose after your workout. It also improves mitochondrial function and increases your metabolic rate for hours after the workout is done. But HIIT is intense, and it's not appropriate for everyone, especially if you're just starting out or dealing with injuries. Build your foundation first with walking and resistance training. Then add in HIIT if it feels right for your body. Cycling your carb intake based on your activity level is another strategy worth considering. On days when you're more active, you can eat more carbs because your muscles need the fuel and can handle it. On rest days or lower activity days, you keep carbs lower. This is sometimes called carb cycling. It can help improve insulin sensitivity while still providing enough fuel for your workouts. It's more advanced and requires some planning, but it can be effective once you understand how your body responds to carbs. Let me also talk about testing and monitoring. While you don't need to obsess over numbers, it can be helpful to track certain markers to see how you're progressing. The most accessible tool is a continuous glucose monitor, CGM. This is a small device that you wear on your arm that measures your blood sugar continuously throughout the day and night. It sends the data to an app on your phone, so you can see in real time how different foods, activities, and stressors affect your blood sugar. CGMs are incredibly educational. You'll quickly learn which foods spike your blood sugar and which ones don't. You'll see how a walk after meals brings your blood sugar down. You'll see how poor sleep or stress raises your blood sugar, even if you didn't eat anything. This information empowers you to make better choices. CGMs used to require a prescription, but now there are companies that offer them directly to consumers for metabolic health purposes. They're not cheap, but if you can afford it, I highly recommend trying one for at least a month. You should also be getting regular blood work done to track your progress. At a minimum, get a fasting glucose test and a hemoglobin A1C test. Hemoglobin A1C measures your average blood sugar over the past 3 months. A normal A1C is below 5.7. Prediabetes is 5.7 to 6.4. Diabetes is 6.5 or higher. But here's the thing. You can have a normal A1C and still be insulin resistant if your insulin levels are elevated to keep your blood sugar in check. So it's also worth getting a fasting insulin test. This is not a standard test, so you'll need to specifically request it. A healthy fasting insulin level is below 5 microunits per milliliter. Above 10 indicates insulin resistance. Above 20 is severe insulin resistance. If you can, get a full lipid panel, including triglycerides, HDL, LDL, and VLDL. Your triglyceride to HDL ratio is a good indicator of insulin resistance. You want that ratio to be below 2, ideally closer to 1. If your triglycerides are 150 and your HDL is 50, your ratio is 3, which suggests insulin resistance. Another useful test is a CAC scan, which measures calcium deposits in your coronary arteries. This gives you a direct measure of atherosclerosis, which is the underlying cause of heart attacks. Insulin resistance and metabolic dysfunction drive atherosclerosis. So improving your insulin sensitivity should reduce your CAC score over time. This test requires a CT scan and costs a few $100s, but it's worth it if you want a clear picture of your cardiovascular risk. You can also use simple at-home measurements to track progress. Measure your waist circumference at your belly button. A healthy waist circumference is less than 40 inches for men and less than 35 inches for women. Above that indicates excess visceral fat and increased metabolic risk. Track your waist measurement every few weeks. As your insulin sensitivity improves, your waist circumference should decrease. You can also calculate your waist-to-height ratio. Divide your waist measurement by your height, both in the same units. A healthy ratio is less than 0.5. This means your waist should be less than half your height. This is a simple but powerful indicator of metabolic health. Now, I want to address something that might be running through your mind right now. You might be thinking, this is too much. I can't do all of this. And you're right. You can't do all of this at once. That's not realistic. But you can start. You can pick one thing and do it today. Then tomorrow, you do it again. And the next day. And before you know it, that one thing has become a habit. Then you add one more thing, and another. Over time, these small changes add up to massive transformation. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do something. The worst thing you can do is nothing. The worst thing you can do is stay stuck in the same patterns that got you here in the first place. And here's what I want you to understand. Reversing insulin resistance is not just about avoiding disease. It's about reclaiming your vitality. It's about having the energy to play with your kids or grandkids. It's about feeling confident in your body. It's about waking up and actually feeling rested. It's about not relying on caffeine and sugar to get through the day. It's about your brain working clearly so you can be productive and creative. It's about not feeling like a slave to food and cravings. It's about taking control of your health so you can live the life you want to live. That's what this is really about. Your body wants to heal. Your cells want to function properly. Your hormones want to be balanced. You just have to create the right environment for that to happen. And when you do, it's amazing what your body is capable of. I've seen people come off multiple medications. I've seen people lose 50, 70, 100 pounds. I've seen people reverse fatty liver disease, get their energy back, clear their brain fog, balance their hormones, improve their fertility, reduce their inflammation, lower their blood pressure, and completely transform their health. This is possible for you too. But you have to commit. You have to decide that your health is worth the effort. You have to decide that you're not going to be a victim of your circumstances or your genetics or your past choices. You're going to take responsibility and do what needs to be done. And look, I'm not going to lie to you. There will be moments when this feels hard. There will be moments when you want to give up. There will be moments when you're tired and stressed and the old patterns feel easier. That's when you need to remember why you started. That's when you need to reach out for support. That's when you need to be kind to yourself and just take it one day at a time. It's one meal at a time, one choice at a time. So here's what I want you to do right now. Take a deep breath. Acknowledge where you are. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're hopeful. Whatever you're feeling, that's okay. Now make a decision. Decide that you're going to take action. Decide that you're going to start today. Not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Today, pick one thing from this video that resonates with you and commit to doing it. Maybe it's clearing the junk food out of your pantry. Maybe it's setting a timer for your last meal of the day so you can start a 12-hour fast. Maybe it's going for a 10-minute walk after dinner. Whatever it is, do it. Then come back tomorrow and do it again. Build momentum. Create consistency. Trust the process. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources available. There are communities of people on this same journey. There are practitioners who specialize in metabolic health who can guide you. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to invest in your health. This is the most important investment you'll ever make. I want to leave you with this thought. Your body is constantly communicating with you. Those physical signs we talked about at the beginning, the belly fat, the dark skin patches, the fatigue, the cravings, those are messages. Your body is telling you something is wrong. It's asking for help. Don't ignore those messages. Don't wait until those messages become emergencies. Listen to your body now. Respond with love and care. Give your body what it needs to heal and thrive. You are more powerful than you realize. You have the ability to change your health trajectory. You have the ability to reverse insulin resistance. You have the ability to create the vibrant, energetic life you deserve. It starts with a decision. It continues with consistent action. And it results in transformation. I believe in you. I've seen thousands of people do this successfully. You can be one of them. So go out there and make it happen. Take back control of your health. Take back control of your life. You've got this. If you found this helpful, definitely go back and watch my video on why you're always tired even after sleeping 8 hours. It ties directly into what we talked about today and will give you even more tools to optimize your energy and metabolic health. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.